Tonight, we're driving the 2023 BMW X7 M60i. We have a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 that makes 523 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque. That's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. We also get a 48-volt mild hybrid system. This is a refreshed X7 for the 23 model year. We have different exterior appearance, different front bumper, rear bumper, some styling elements. This is painted in frozen Marina Bay blue, which is a pretty wild color option. Yeah, not subtle, but I think looks kind of cool. We're filming this video at night because this X7 absolutely comes alive in the dark. You can see we've got lighting accents in the grille. We've got split headlights now, black wheels. These are the 22s. We're on Pirelli Scorpion winter tires. See those massive brakes up front. Spent the last few days in this X7. We'll give you guys some thoughts on what it's been like to live with and drive this week. Got a split tailgate in the back. Lots of nice bright LED interior lighting. You can fold down those rear seats by holding these buttons right here. And it takes a long time for them to come down, but they do eventually fold down and you get lots of room. The second row seats have to move forward. Let's show you what that second row looks like. Really nice comfy chairs back here. We've got a decent amount of space in the back of this X7. Haven't spent a ton of time in these. I drove an Alpina XB7 last year. Look at this ambient lighting. Just wicked. What an interior. Very, very cool looking. Rear climate control, USB-C ports, cup holders, captain's chairs. This starts around $104,000. As tested, this is $122 grand. Let's see here. Let's fold up this third row and see what it's like to get back there. All right. Fold that seat forward. The front seat moves ahead, and the second row captain's chairs will fold forward to access the third row. Not the easiest third row to get behind, but let's see here how much space we have in the back of this. Captain's chairs definitely make things a little bit easier. Okay, actually, that's doable. I'm 5'10". I have a good 1.5 inches of headroom. This is comfortable. There's not a lot of room behind those third row seats to put stuff, but this is definitely a usable 3-row SUV. These seats just take forever to do their thing. There we go. But if you're patient, it's not that bad. Okay. Yeah, you can fit adults back there. No problem. We've got a little place here to mount an iPad, USB-C ports, more ambient lighting. Nice panoramic moonroof. Look at the ambient accents in this. Oh, it's so cool. Let's take a look at the heart of this. The 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8. Rated for about 18 miles to the gallon combined, 16 in the city, 21 on the highway. BMW has done away with the M60i trim level and done a little bit of badge engineering here. You get the xDrive 40i and the M60i now, and that's it for 2023. No more M50i option. It used to be where the M60 was designated to V12s and very special high-end powertrains, but that is no longer the case. I don't mind the new front end on this X7. I think it's actually growing on me a little bit. The grille isn't too much larger than it used to be. I think it's probably about the same size. I'm not sure how well this color fits this car, but it definitely makes a statement. I would probably swing for something in a little bit more of a subtle shade of gray or dark, and I think that'd be a pretty sharp looking SUV. I've got to hand it to BMW. They've done a really nice job with this interior. Carbon fiber accents look fantastic. You've got 2 cup holders here, wireless charging. You can heat and cool these cup holders, which is very neat. Very simple, easy to use switchgear. You've got a control here to set your ride height and access height when you're parked. You can lower the vehicle for a little bit easier access. You can also raise it up for off-roading. You've got all of your drive modes right here. Physical buttons, Sport, Sport Plus, Sport Individual, Comfort, Eco Pro, and you can see that ambient lighting also will change depending on your drive mode. That's pretty fancy. Cool. I'm starting to warm up a little bit to iDrive 8. After using this some this week, it's not that bad. It's actually a little bit simpler than previous generations of iDrive. Everything's pretty well organized in here. It's a fast, responsive system. CarPlay connects wirelessly, Android Auto connects wirelessly. That's pretty seamless, no issues there. You can use it as a touch screen. You've got the scroll wheel down here, and they've maintained the traditional button layout around that scroll wheel. It's not like the iX where they switched it up and made that kind of annoying. You've got a constant home button and then some quick access buttons to the left side of the screen here, which is really nice. You can add widgets to your main screen. You have all these different panels and tabs. My only complaint is that the climate controls are a little bit tedious to use sometimes, but for the most part, you're just going to be leaving this on auto. And you can really only monotask with this screen. There's not like there's a separate climate control menu or screen. I would like physical buttons, especially for things like heated seats, heated steering wheel, but it's okay. It is what it is. You get used to it. Luckily, let's say you're in CarPlay, you're doing your navigation, you want to turn on your heated seats, you just press the climate button again and it'll take you exactly where you've been. So once you learn to use the system, it's very easy to live with. Got this funky little crystal shifter down here. Not a huge fan of this. It's kind of hard to find. It's very tiny, and I would like something a little bit more prominent to grab onto there. We've got nice looking 360 cameras, panorama view, all that cool stuff. You can circle around the car here. Could have just done the walk around from inside. Didn't really have to even leave. And there's another view over here in one of these widgets that shows you whether your steering, turn signals on, if your door's open. There's a lot of tech here. It's integrated nicely. It's not distracting. It doesn't overwhelm the driving experience in this car like it has started to with some Mercedes products. This has been really easy to live with this week. It's been a fantastic daily. Yeah, that's all I can say about the interior. It's comfortable. You got decent visibility, and the driving assistance stuff works really well. Let's go drive this thing. Let's see what it's like on the road. We'll start off in comfort mode. I do like the way this V8 just kind of bellows away in the background. Makes a good sound. The 48 volt mild hybrid system makes for seamless startups. Adds a little bit of torque fill here and there in the power band. Headlights perform really well at night. We've got auto high beams turned on tonight, so it seems to be working nicely. Into sport mode. Let's go sport individual. That'll give us comfort ride, sport drivetrain, a little bit stiffer steering. I'm pretty impressed with the way this thing drives. This is definitely one of the better, if not one of the best driving performance three-row SUVs. The handling is really pretty amazing. Gearbox engine. It all works well to deliver some wicked performance. Steering feels good. I mean, this really, behind the wheel, it just shrinks the harder you push it. You wouldn't think this thing weighs 5,600 pounds. This is a new V8. This is a new transmission. They feel about the same as the previous versions. No major change in power, too, compared to the last year M50i, which is a bit strange since this has turned into the M60i, but that's okay. Just BMW badge engineering there again. Eco Pro is kind of a cool mode. It'll let you coast, and I think it'll actually turn the engine off in some situations. And the efficiency, the rolling efficiency of this X7 is just amazing. For how big this thing is, it'll just coast for what seems like forever. Mostly been driving this around in comfort mode. My only gripe is in low speed city environments or in bumper-to-bumper traffic. There's just a little bit of delay on initial throttle tip-in. It's about a second from when you put your foot down on the accelerator to when the car takes off. And it's just long enough to be kind of annoying. Part of that is the mild hybrid system kicking the engine on, because it's pretty much turning off at every stoplight. And the other part of that is just kind of some built-in throttle blending with setting off, some smoothing going on there with the tuning. And I've got to say, it gets a little bit irritating after a little while. Even if the engine is on, it just takes a minute for this thing to set off. Otherwise, though, I love the way this X7 drives. BMW's done such a great job with the tuning here. The calibration is top-notch. All of your inputs just feel right. It's a comfortable, enjoyable, and entertaining SUV to drive around. Let's try Sport Plus here. They have a couple different transmission modes too. You can feel the suspension really stiffen up in sport mode. And we're on winter tires tonight, and the grip here is just it's wild. Nice close ratio gears with this 8-speed. Really responsive paddles and just subtle burbles on the overrun. If you guys are listening to this video with headphones, which I would highly recommend, you'll be able to hear all the subtle changes in engine note. I could do with a slightly louder exhaust in sport mode, but again, this is just a big old SUV, and it keeps it classy. Really quiet at speed, very little wind noise, even with that massive panoramic moonroof open. Pretty amazing that an SUV can do the things that this X7 does. Automatic high beams work really well. I don't feel like they're blinding people. And the headlight performance in the dark is just about what you'd expect from your $100,000 BMW. full color head-up display. Shows us some nice useful information. One thing we haven't shown you guys is the driving assistance system. So on the highway, this actually works really well. You can switch between assisted driving mode and distance control with a press of a button right here on the steering wheel. And the steering assist and lane centering does a really, really nice job. It even performs pretty well on back roads and city streets, though I haven't been using it that often in lower speed scenarios. You can see here in this screen we get a bit of a visual of what's going on around us. We can see some other cars, other vehicles. This will also auto lane change. I don't know if it does it on back roads, but on the highway, the auto lane change is actually really aggressive. Kind of interesting. They must have studied BMW driver habits and calibrated it accordingly. I went into the menus. There's really no other setting to change the auto lane change speed. You can go in and change your distance control default setting in the menus. You can't control that on the steering wheel. That's another little bit of a gripe I have, but the closest following distance seems to feel about right in this X7, so I've just been living with that. That's fine. It's interesting because on one hand, BMW's done a pretty good job with giving us a ton of physical controls in this X7, and on the other hand, they've left a few things out. We've got a physical control here for our gauge cluster brightness and dimmer, which is really quite nice. Ride quality is excellent, even on these 22-inch wheels. Really quiet over bumps. Comfort mode is great. I mean, really, the only time it gets stiff is when the suspension's set to sport mode, which really only happens in Sport Plus. Yeah, very comfortable daily driver. Even large impacts are handled very, very well. The body control in this X7 is expertly tuned, really top-notch. Let's go back into sport mode here. Tackle an entrance ramp. Such an impressive SUV. Alright, so assisted driving mode. Car is pretty much steering itself right now on the highway. Let's make sure no one's around us. And let's do a lane change real quick. Look at how fast that happens. That's the car doing all that. That seems pretty aggressive to me. I mean, it works. It's checking its surroundings. It knows where vehicles are around it. But I wish there were a way to adjust that and make it just a little bit less abrupt. I think that definitely catch some passengers off guard. Distance control works really well. I mean, all the adaptive cruise control and driving assistance stuff in here is really well done. Love the brakes on this X7. Surprisingly good for an SUV. Awesome pedal feel, really nice bite, easy to modulate. Yeah, this thing is fun. The more I've driven it, the more time I've spent with it, the more I've just kind of enjoyed living with this. At first I thought it might be a little bit on the dull side, but I don't know. I'm pretty impressed with what this can do. It's not an overly distracting experience behind the wheel, and it's just such a nice vehicle to drive and live with that I think you'd you'd be very happy with one of these if you can swing the $100,000 or so that BMW is asking for these. I'd be very curious to drive the xDrive 40i. That might be kind of a sweet spot because I don't really know if you need the V8. I'd be just fine with a straight 6 in something like this, and that's still got a decent amount of power. Alright guys, well, I think I've said pretty much everything I want to about this X7. We'll just leave it right there. Lower this to its minimum ride height. I'll show you what that looks like. Alright. We'll walk you around this one more time, and then I think we'll do a quick Bowers & Wilkins sound system test. One of the better Bowers & Wilkins sound systems that I've heard in a modern BMW, and that'll be a wrap for this video. This paint is cool, but it's cool to live with this week. Not sure I'd want to live with it long term. CarPlay. We do get some physical controls down here for volume, track selection, and our front and rear defrost. And that's about it. Alright guys, that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.